Yes. Yes. Okay, Nick Carroll, thank
Yeah.
you for coming on.
Yeah, great pleasure, Giovanni. I hope you're well.
Yeah, good, good. So Nick, I just wanted to know your opinion about surfing, sorry, training in physical training in dry land, for surfing specifically. And yeah, I know you have a lot of experience. As I said to you before we jumped on this call, I looked for your expertise back. Um, 16 years ago. What was it? No, 16, no, but 13 years ago, something like that. And now I am actually training people. So yeah,
Right.
I just wanted your opinion in this subject. And yeah, let's start with that. And
Sure. Well, I noticed you pitched a few like subjects at me.
yeah,
And the first one I think was like, what do we see with surfers that are the most common kind of like issues, I guess,
yes,
uh, that might be helped by some work outside the water.
yeah,
I think like there's a few, but here's the two most common, all right, from what I notice.
yeah,
Um, when it comes to just purely surfing, standing on your board and riding a wave, I think a serious problem that most surfers have, especially men, is that their hips are just too stiff,
yeah,
right? They're just locked in place. And so the surfer stands up on the board and you're immediately hampered in your ability to move your weight around the board because your hips just lock into place and then your feet lock into place on the board. You might have flexed knees, but the flexed knees can't flex up and down comfortably. And all your movements are a little bit hampered by that central point in your body where the hips are locked in place. And there's a lot of stuff that goes on with the hips. There's not just the big muscles of the quads and the glutes and the hammies, but there's also a bunch of smaller muscles that thread their way through the hips and through the pelvis, and they'll also be pretty stiff. I'd suspect a root issue there is that so many of us spend so much time sitting down, and that if there's a better way to lock your hips up than just sitting down for 8 hours, I can't imagine what it would be, right? Like that automatically kind of hampers everything that's going on through the core of your body. So
yeah,
stiff hips as a result of a bunch of stuff, right?
yeah,
And the second thing I notice with a lot of surfers is um, like hampered paddling style, right?
yeah,
And what I mean by that is that most surfers paddle in um, a really restricted movement, right? Like they'll start with a hand up here, they'll get it back through the water, they'll pull the hand out really early, and they'll swing out and bring it back like that. So it's like this kind of D-shaped semicircular movement, all right?
yeah,
And this is like not only is it like not very effective as far as like pulling water, right?
yeah,
But it's also like almost certainly going to hurt your rotator cuff and other tendons that thread through the shoulder because all of a sudden your shoulder's bearing the weight of that arm as it moves back up this way. And it just happens over and over again. This will happen a couple of thousand times in a surf. And over a period of months and years, you will wear away at the tendons in there, the supraspinatus in particular. And that will mean that your paddling gets worse over time, not better. And this means you just won't get as many waves. And it also means that maybe down the track, you might be a candidate for shoulder surgery. And shoulder surgery on your tendons to repair tendon damage is a really awful piece of surgery, and it's going to leave you out of the water for a year.
yeah,
So you know, those are the two things that I really noticed that I think could be quite easily fixed by training regimes out of the water, stiff hips, and the incompetence in the paddling movement,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's very common. I mean, like you said, 80%, well, 80% of the time when we spend it paddling in the water, um, is just that those very few the professional surfer that nowadays, especially that they have the jet ski and do all the paddling for them, right? Mostly. So yeah, the general population definitely. And it's something that I certainly see in a lot of people that I see myself.
Yeah.
Shoulder problem, and hip or and also down the chain
Yeah.
related to the hip,
Yep.
knees and back, or up the chain at the back and etc.
Hmm.
Um, and um, and so I guess also. I mean, like you said, the sitting down, and because the general population realistically is not paid to surf, so they have
Yeah.
to they have to work, and they are in an office, or they parents and etc. And I guess. Well, that's my view, and perhaps you can tell me what you think. But I feel like that a lot of the general population would benefit from training in dry land, so that they could be stronger, have a better proprioception of their body,
Hmm.
of the and yeah, feeling their body to
Yeah.
where it is in time and space, because surfing is it is such a if yeah, if you tried surfing, is a, such a there is so much going on, right? The board
Yeah.
is rocking, and if your core is not strong and the board the rocks all the time, like the waste of energy is huge, right?
Pretty
um
amazing. Yeah. You can
yeah.
really burn a lot of energy trying to control the board if you can't be relaxed in the hips and like naturally absorb those movements.
Yes,
You know?
yes, exactly. And so yeah, I guess the paddling technique is really important, and consequently swimming, for example, as a training in dry land for the everyday surfer, beside the gym is really important. Um, it's because at the end of the day, that's what we do. I mean, a bit
Yeah.
differently, but and for instance, I did swim myself for training in surfing when I was back home in Italy,
Yeah.
and over here following your program, and other program for swimming, and I found that that's another very good training tool for the everyday surfer that
Yeah.
perhaps as well is not so inclined to go to the gym or do
Yeah.
some pull-ups or push-ups, or
Yeah.
whatever exercise regime is in showcasing for them. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Look, I think there's a lot of good stuff about swimming in relation to surfing, right? There's aerobic conditioning,
Yeah.
just the ability to keep paddling back out, catching more waves.
Yeah.
That's a surefire way to improve your surfing is just catching more waves, and good paddling allows you to do that. Um, uh, difference between explosive and non-explosive movements, like explosive to aerobic, like you do a really good swim session, and particularly if you can get yourself some like short-term coaching,
Yeah.
you will find that there's not really all that much difference between high-powered swimming, like threshold pace swimming, and aerobic swimming. The movements are not really much difference. It's
Yeah.
it's it's mostly just um, quicker rating.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Quicker rating, putting
yeah,
more, I guess, energy, effort
yeah,
within the stroke. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah, 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 yeah. And so like the movements you can learn in the pool, um, under a bit of coaching. Not, you don't need a whole lot. There's plenty of online programs right now that can really help you swim better.
mm,
You'll find those movements translate pretty much directly to paddling.
yeah.
And they're actually easier because in a pool, you don't have the board helping you float, right?
Yeah, totally.
You,
Yes.
you've got to kind of like learn how to float on your body.
Yes.
But uh, and there's a third benefit, I guess, of swimming in that it does really key you in on your proprioception. Like good swimming, you need to be aware of where everything is all the time. Like you need to know everything from your fingertips to your toenails, right? Like
Yeah.
where is everything, right?
Yes.
And so that really helps your awareness of where you are when you're surfing as well, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot to be gained from swimming.
Yeah.
I think that um, from watching like top end surfers train, over many years, their training regimes have changed a lot.
Yeah.
Um, and mostly those training regimes have like edged away from heavy weights and away from static movements, right? And towards much lighter weights and an emphasis on things like plyometrics and dynamic movement.
Yes.
And isometrics tend to be used only in things like planking and like trying to hold the position in the hamstring and the glutes
Yeah.
and things like that. Like and all the other movements are like dynamic. There's a lot of kettlebells. There's a lot of
Yeah.
semi-trampoline type stuff,
Yeah.
and uh, a lot of like jumping and landing in places, right?
Yeah.
Like so the control of your movement while you're jumping and moving to another place in the
Yeah.
process. A lot of box jumping, right? And
Yes.
coming back down, box jumping, coming back down, a lot of positional movements, um, and a lot of like balancing movements to balance that out, like simple um, work with some upper body weights just to balance all that out.
Mm.
Uh, it's it can be pretty rigorous, right? And I don't really think it's suited to most surfers.
Mm.
It's suited to people who are really driven because
Yeah.
it's super hard work. Um, the movements are difficult to master, and you'll probably hurt yourself before you really get anywhere with it, right?
Yeah.
Um, but there's controlled versions of that stuff that you can do and you can be guided into that can really help a lot.
Yeah.
Like, um, and that goes for anyone. It doesn't matter what your age is.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, I'm not a fan of anyone under like 15 or so doing very much in the gym at all, right?
Mm.
Um, Partly because they're still growing, and
Yeah.
you can hurt the body by training it while it's growing like that.
Yeah.
But also because too much serious stuff when you're like a 13 or 14-year-old kid is going to burn you out on the sport
Yeah.
quite quick. And
Yeah.
um, we've watched that happen in surfing. We watch it happen a lot in other sports as well, like probably more in other sports where the regimes are harder, like competitive swimming, things like that, where you're doing a lot more than you trained for surfing, that's for sure.
Mm.
Uh, you'll burn out from the over effort and just decide, oh, this is not for me. I'd rather go and have some fun with my friends.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah,
Totally.
and also, I mean, like, 15, 16, 17, 18 years of age, the body's pretty good, right? Like you're growing, you've got a lot of like growth hormones flooding the body. You're extremely flexible, and you're really in a skill learning phase. And so, the gym's not going to do too much. It's not going to be nearly as much value as just going surfing.
Yeah.
But, you get a little bit older,
Yeah.
and especially if you began surfing when you were a little bit older, if you began surfing in your 20s, say, or even older, I think that's when like a really well tailored gym program um, can really help you. Just strengthen all the small muscles that a surfer needs while not stiffing up with too much weight, you know.
Yeah.
And it also helps keep the weight off because like it really helps to not be carrying too much weight when you surf.
when you
Like I
surf.
think we would all know that. Like everybody knows that.
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And
yeah,
that's a kind of like my philosophy because my clients are general population like builders and everyday people that loves to surf and
yeah,
wanted to stay fit and like you said, like when they see those type of program that perhaps some of the professional surfers are doing, I mean
yeah,
there is there like I agreed, like you said, that there is a progression and a version for those type of people. But yeah, if you know if you're not an athlete that lives for recovering and performing, the demand on the body compounded with your kids, the work, and all of the other stressors that are coming in are really especially if it's not the program is not well structured, that is periodized
yeah.
over time, right? To allow the joints to adapt, the muscle to adapt, and the body to adapt to it and
Mm,
respond positively. Because at the end of the day, any type of exercise is the result that you're gonna get physically, muscularly, neurologically are adaptation to the stimulus. And if the
yeah,
stimulus is overcome the ability of the body to recover, it's gonna break down the body. And uh, yeah, so the injury pretty much they're gonna be around the corner. And
yeah, completely.
yeah, and that's what I do a lot with most of my clients is like even just push up. Like a lot of my program with my clients is just like go through the basic push up, a good push up with good form, good pull ups, assisted pull ups, body weight squats and lunges and uh, Bulgarian split squat, and there is million of ways as well with just your body to make it hard enough to tap into those explosive fiber or strength fiber of your muscle. Um, some people, I feel like there is this concept of nowadays to that if you want to get strength, you need to add the weight but
Mm,
not necessarily. And the weight, yes, you can. That's another form of adding intensity to the exercise, but
mm,
also your body weight. If you do 1.25 squats, where you go all the way down, come up 1/4 of the squats, just with your body weight, go back down again, and then
mm,
come back up. That's
mm.
increasing the time and the tension is a very good things that I utilize with my clients. And
Yeah,
they, like then they go surfing and they say, "Oh yeah, my body feels good and
yeah,
I'm stronger." And
mm,
and some of my clients are good surfer themselves. They're not professional, but they good surfer. They've been surfing
mm,
for 30 years and plus, so they know what they do and they just need that extra things to again to stimulate the body to adapt to the extra things. Otherwise, even if you are a builder and you move in your body all day long, but that becomes your maximum and
yeah,
and
yeah,
consequently the body goes backwards. So you need
yeah.
an extra stimulus as well that is specific for your pleasure activity to allow your body to adapt and perform better and give you better
Oh, for
better perform.
sure.
Yeah, yeah.
For sure. It's almost like I imagine, someone who's really into, who does hard manual labor a lot. It's almost like they would need the training to become a relaxing thing for them in a way. And
Yeah,
like
yeah,
and like
totally.
move away from the movements they're doing at work and like kind of like relax those muscles and then find the muscles they're not working, right?
Yes,
And then
yes.
work on them.
Yeah,
And that can take a while, I would
yeah,
think. I mean,
yeah.
I don't do a lot of hands-on gym coaching.
Yeah.
Um, I do a lot of active coaching with people who are practicing their sport, right?
Yeah.
Um, and uh, and so I see the results of what they do in the gym,
Yeah.
and I see the difference between them and the people who don't do the gym work they should be doing.
Yeah.
There's significant difference, but most of all, I see how doing things in the gym that are not like what you do in your everyday activities is really good, right?
Yeah.
Like try to shift away from that and into this other headspace.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Again, another stimulus stimulating it's like learning a new language, right? Is that
Yeah,
stimulate the brain in a different way.
yeah, completely.
And yeah, and again, like swimming, like you mentioned before, swimming is such a simple thing, and a lot of people don't think about it, but is with a good program and with the aerobic building aerobic capacity, right? Because at the end of the day, me and you, we paddle 80% of the time, or we are always on the lookout, and even professional surfer. And at the end of the day, if they don't have that aerobic capacity built, right? If they don't have that aerobic
Yeah.
capacity built, then you paddle back out and you're going to be gassed out
Hmm.
because, right, you catch a wave and you need that aerobic capacity while you're waiting for the wave and be in the lookout to see what's
Mm.
going on, moving, treading with your feet. We basically working the whole time. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
just then, and, and doesn't need much as well, like in terms of the aerobic capacity that realistically we need is zone one and zone two, which
Yeah.
are you can have a conversation with someone pretty
Yeah.
much. Zone one, you can have a conversation. Zone two is like
Yeah.
you kind of struggling a little bit, but you can keep up with that conversation.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that I feel like as well, there is a bit of confusion in that. Now, a lot of people, I feel like there is a good number of people that um that believe that aerobic capacity is actually struggling for a long time, which is not ideal, and doesn't give you the result that you looking for after
No,
all. Yeah,
no, not at all. You want to be correct in your movements above all else, I would think. I
yeah,
mean, that's how people get stiff hips and stuff because they're not correcting their movements.
yeah.
And it's not like they're doing something wrong. I'm not sort of like there's no moral judgment there.
No,
It's
no, no,
just
no.
like you sit down at a desk and it doesn't matter how square you sit, that's going to add up a little bit on you. And then you'll jump up and go and try and do something really active, and it's just not going to work very well.
Yeah, no, no, that's it.
Mm.
Yeah, and it is exactly what you said. Like there is that element of exercising regularly, regularly enough for what the individual feel like. Because obviously, if you feel that you're dragging yourself to the gym or whatever type of exercise you do, then it's gonna take away the fun, right? And and it's gonna
Totally.
be a burden. And instead of reaping some benefit, you're actually gonna um, ripping your body apart or
Yeah.
your motivation apart. Because again, um, exercise is a stimulus, require energy, and we have only so much energy um, in a day, right?
Yeah.
And if our primary focus is surfing, also we want to leave some energy throughout the week to go out and enjoy ourselves.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, that's which is yeah, very important, very important. But yeah, the corrective doing exercises with correct form, I feel like that's also really important. Like you said, the paddling at the beginning, you spoke about the stroke, and
Hmm.
that's true. Is uh, and that's what I see a lot of the time. I see clients that I started seeing that I gotta teach them to perform, like I said, a push-up properly, not
Yeah,
chopping off the movement, and which for us surfing, we performing push-up or a version of push-up most of the time that we're going to stand up to our feet.
totally.
And so if you don't have a strong core, if you don't have a strong arm, and you utilizing the arm properly with control, you start to overcompensating, and then we see people with the shoulder up to the ear,
Yeah,
right, trying to stand up, or while they paddling with a massive kyphotic posture, and that the jam up the shoulder and limit
yeah,
their ability to extend their arm and catch the water. And yeah, those are really things that I feel like are overlooked, and that people would get a lot of benefit just from, again, simple stuff, done it well, that transfer back brings better awareness of the body, because like you said, we need so much awareness of our body in the water. And and if we don't, then is when we start to become clunky and things are falling out of place, or we just wasting. In light of what you said about the stroke, for instance, one thing that I personally learned to do and that I utilize to get that full stroke is I put my thumb out and I touch the rail of the board at the back
uh-huh,
when I get in um, full stroke.
uh-huh,
And I feel like that helped me because otherwise I do can get into that habit of chopping up my paddling,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
especially in those days, like not that I was surfing on Saturday and Sunday because there was way too much current and the waves were a bit tricky. But in those days, up at the points where there is heaps of current, that stroke efficiency of maximizing that strokes is super valuable because once you start chopping off those stroke, right, the current is just gonna suck you up and
yeah,
dragging you back. Yeah,
yeah, very much so.
yeah.
You have to keep rolling.
And and um so you said that you do also surf coaching, which is different some from training.
Yes,
Yes, yes.
yes, but I also coach people in other kinds of surf sports like uh, surf, swim racing, and
Oh
board
yeah,
paddling. If you've ever seen the pro Iron Person series stuff,
yeah,
that I coach a elite crew in that. So I get to kind of see a lot of different kind of things, right?
yeah.
Um, I will say that like after having been in these different sport arenas,
Mm,
and working with people who are doing different kinds of sport, but also always in the water, but different kinds of sport, that surfing seems almost unfairly hard, right?
mm,
Like there's these skills that have nothing to do with each other
yeah,
normally, and you've got to get on top of them, right? Like there's not really any connection in real terms, sporting terms, with the paddling motion, right? And judging a wave or kind of assessing a wave as it moves towards you.
yeah,
There's no real connection between that and standing on an uneven surface, right? Like a surfboard on water, right? These skills, they're so different, so disparate.
mm,
The fact that we've got to put them all together into a package, it just seems unfairly difficult.
mm,
But like on the other hand, if you're doing a sport, an elite sport like, say, surf, iron person racing, right? Then you're putting together a bunch of skills that maybe don't test the proprioception quite as much as surfing does,
Mm.
but it's way more testing on the body, like
Yeah.
way more.
Mm.
You try and swim a fast 400-meter race through surf,
Yeah.
it will cook you in a way that like no surfing activity does, right?
Yeah.
And you try to put that together with board and ski and running
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and maintain a clear head and make really good decisions all the way through each time. Um, it's a kind of a masterclass in self-control more than
Yeah.
anything. Whereas surfing, what you're trying to do is get past that seeming disparity of skills, right? Get past the idea that paddling doesn't relate to wave judgment and wave judgment doesn't necessarily relate to balance and your reflexes don't have to be razor sharp,
Yeah.
Um, and just work through all that like bit by bit. Not everything at once, but like you'll find that you do a little bit at a time
Yes.
and like you create a rising tide for yourself, right?
Mm.
So that say you're paddling and you're not a very good paddler, like everything else in your surfing gets held back because of that, right? You just gain a little bit more, 5% in your paddling, and all of a sudden you can kind of start moving the bar over here because you can catch a wave, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like people say that to me often, when they come to talk about surf technique, they say, I want to do a better cutback. And I'll just watch them for a while and pick up that they're shitty paddlers and say,
Yeah.
hey, you want to do a better cutback? Forget like where your arms are when you're doing the cutback, right? Just develop your paddling so you can catch more waves because that's
Yeah.
how you work on the cutback, right?
Yes. Yes.
And
Yeah. Totally.
some people are like really good paddlers and they're actually kind of really good surfers, but they'll be making some other like they'll have missed something else. Like they'll have missed the classic thing that a lot of fairly good surfers miss is like watching the wave while you're paddling into it and you're watching where you want to go, right? Um, and so you're paddling, but with a purpose. You're paddling at an angle that allows you to see where you want to be going once you stand up and go. Whereas a lot of surfers just hunker down into the paddling and then worry about that when they're standing up. It's too late, right? Like, look where you're going before you stand up. And so even good surfers, like will do that hunker down thing when they catch
Yeah.
a wave. And you open them up to that idea. Hey, look, keep your eyes up, keep your head up,
Yeah.
watch what's happening while you're paddling, right? And everything gets real easier. And
Mm.
bam, suddenly you solve that, and then they can work on other stuff. So it's like it's not a ladder, right? It's this really, uneven thing that's you're always building one side, the other side, bits in the
Yeah.
middle, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so training can be really supportive for any of that. But like once you start getting better and you want to actually work on your technique,
Yeah.
um, that's when you want to start keying in on the parts of training that might help you improve that technique, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's like a different level of training, right? That's what the pros are doing. A lot of the young pros do that dynamic stuff. They're on and off trampolines. They're plyometric 180 swivels,
Yeah.
landing on spots, things like that. They're figuring out how to do airs, how to stay like aware proprioceptively in the air. And so that style of training works on that, but it might not work on someone who is just trying to figure out wave movement.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so that's why I think I was just like cautioning people around that level of pro style training because normally a lot of time they're training for moves you're just not going to do and you don't want to do, right?
Yes. Yes.
Um,
Or are too far ahead at this stage, right?
way too far ahead.
Way
Yeah,
too far
yeah,
ahead.
yeah.
And they gonna perhaps also they gonna prevent you to actually enjoy what you can enjoy at this
Yeah.
stage of your progression, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because standing up to your feet and just trimming a wave nice and gently with good graceful,
Mm.
position and etc. It's quite amazing. Feeling the
Yeah.
water, the pressure under your feet. Um, and yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
look, it's funny you say that, huh? Like this morning, my buddy Hannah and I went surfing at a beachy here in Sydney, and Hannah's really tuned into like she wants to improve her surfing, and she has improved her surfing a lot in the last year and a half, right?
yeah,
And some of that's been from conversations we've had, and some of it's just her working on it because she's pretty kind of determined character, right?
yeah.
And we were talking about like wild moves because we just you just watched the event in Raglan, and we saw Yago just blow everyone's minds,
Oh my
and then
God.
Ilo blow everyone's minds, and then Carissa actually really blow a lot of minds, right?
Hmm, hmm.
Because of the incredible technical kind of savvy of their surfing, I think it probably flabbergasted a few of the local crew who've never seen that level of surfing before at their home break.
Yeah.
It would have just like left them a bit like jaw dropped. And I bet the Groms at Raglan get better a lot quicker now because they
Oh,
saw all that, right?
come on, honey.
But I guess for the most of us,
Yeah.
for the most part, right? What we can share with surfers of that level of skill is that we can learn how to surf clean, right?
Yeah.
And by that I mean that everything's coherent, right? Like body's in the right spot all the time. Board's running free all the time. Uh, you're looking for angles in the wave that gain you speed, and you're looking for ways to wash off a bit of speed but put you in a good spot to gain speed again. So you don't need to have all that highfalutin stuff going on in order to surf clean,
No.
right? You can surf as clean as any pro surfer if you just think about that, right?
Yeah.
Like, can I just put my body in the right place all the time?
Mm,
And and just kind of don't overegg it. I see a heap of men trying to overegg their surfing more than women, right?
yeah.
Like just trying to do stuff they can't do or
Mm.
can only barely do, right? And I and that thank goodness they don't ask me for advice in the surf. But like I think that's the plainest advice I could give anyone about their technique is like you want to just work towards surfing clean,
Yeah.
right? And not get worried too much about any particular move.
Mm,
Just think about that, and the rest kind of falls into place around that.
mm,
And training to surf clean is a simple thing, right?
mm.
Like we've talked about, right? Loosening the hips a bit, increasing your paddling speed through correct paddling movements, strengthening the core, strengthening your dynamic movement and ability to kind of like land and not screw that up or fall over or lose balance.
Yeah.
Doing the split squat stuff, the Bulgarian, the Romanian, like stuff that's a little bit that seems like asymmetric in the movement,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but because you're doing it on both sides, it becomes symmetrical, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and um, and doing it like on a regular basis, right?
Yeah.
Like not doing it for 2 weeks and stopping
Mm,
just
mm,
because it
mm.
made you feel good in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Not what it's about. You want to go in like cycles or rhythms, you know, do it for like 8 or 10 weeks, drop off for a couple of weeks, come back, do another 8 or 10 weeks, just, put that in your bag of tricks. Uh, and then you might really get a shock. Like a year
Mm.
down the track, you might be doing things on waves that you were only dreaming of.
Yeah.
You know? Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. Once again, the importance of simple things um, and do it regularly for the general population, which needs quite a bit to and
Yeah,
I can't I really agreed with you that I see and I'm sure I am as well sometime or a lot of the time guilty myself of forcing some movement, forcing
sure.
some but I also look and I like speed and try to generate speed gracefully.
Yeah,
Um, just with, like you said, combination of trunk rotation, kind of like a dance of hip and trunk, right, to
yeah,
generate speed. And and yeah, harness that speed and mm, mm, trying to read the wave to help you to maintain that speed as you
hmm,
surf, right? As you go, one of my strongest side is my backhand, and so uh, yeah, that speed in backhand and uh, yeah, doing off the lip and then you know just looking again for that bottom turn
yeah,
and maintaining that speed and feeling it is a big thing. I feel like and that's why I brought up, for instance, just trimming the wave and just feeling
yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah,
In fact, that was really helpful around that time that I was living in Sydney and I contacted you. I actually worked just for a session. I did it with others, surf coaching with Matt Grigg
yeah,
back in Cronulla,
yeah,
and I remember Matt. We had this session and it was a private session, and he called me in after the first or second wave, and he said that you just got to do one thing. It seems like that you have everything in your head. He said that you just got to stand up to your feet and feel your feet on the board for a split second.
yeah,
He said, just concentrate on that. And that made a huge difference,
yeah,
made more than, some of the session that I had at the HPC and with all the video. He didn't even show me the video. He just said, just focus on that. And I feel like that, yeah, was really important was, yeah, feeling. Feeling
yeah,
is surfing is all about feeling the wave moving underneath you. And,
yeah.
um, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny, hey, like it's a really astute observation, Giovanni. Like surfing is about feeling. It's about feeling where you're at, you know, about like when you paddle out, where are you at in your own head,
Yeah.
right? What's going on, right?
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
and then it's about
Totally.
how you feel after a good wave and how you feel after a bad wave, right?
Yes.
Where do you put those emotions?
Yeah.
And I don't know how you feel around other surfers, right? For a lot of people, that's kind of a problem.
Yes.
Um, for a lot of people, it's not a problem anymore because they've spent years surfing around other surfers and it's just normal.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a problem when they're by themselves because they're
Yeah.
like, "Whoa, I'm by myself in the lineup." Um, but primarily, it's about physical feelings, like about balance and how it's just constantly changing on a wave.
Hmm.
Um, uh, One thing I've done with a lot of success with younger surfers in particular, but any surfer who's a little bit too active in the upper body, right?
Yeah.
Which is like it takes so much away from clean surfing. If you're too active in the upper body, you're going to shift your weight around on the board in ways you don't want to, right? And you think, oh, I'm supposed to do this with my arms. Well, who told you that? Like, what are you doing with your hips, with your knees, with your ankles? Where is the actual weight going?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Um, uh, I'll get like an old clunker of a longboard, and we'll wait for a small day, and I'll get people to go out and catch waves and try to crosswalk the longboard, right? Try to just go step, 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 overlapping steps up the board, do the same going back, right? Uh, and you cannot do that if you've got tension and overworking in the upper body, right? Like it's not possible to move your legs smoothly, right?
Yeah.
Like they'll move statically. You might be able to kind of like do a shuffle,
Yeah.
but you won't be able to move one foot over the other
Yeah.
relaxedly into a new place on the board, right?
Yeah.
And but once you learn to relax enough to let that happen, you'll suddenly find that you get a much more sensitive feeling as to what's going on underfoot, right?
Mm.
And you take that feeling back to a short board, and you'll be pretty stunned by what happens. Like you'll
Mm.
find yourself doing a lot less of this, right? And a lot more of like hips down
Yeah.
movements to gain
Yeah.
speed. And things like, cutbacks or off the tops or whatever, you'll find yourself doing much less and achieving more, right?
Mm.
Because you've learned this fundamental kind of cool thing about like how to feel what's going on under your feet. You've got to be relaxed up here in order to feel what's happening down there.
Mm.
And
Mm.
tension here means tension through your hips, means tension around your knees, tension in your ankles. You get frozen to the spot, you can't feel a thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Totally.
know, like you might be lucky, you might be in the right spot, exactly the right spot on the wave and the board,
Mm.
and successfully ride the wave, but you won't be doing anything special,
Yeah.
and um, you'll probably end up a bit sore at the end of the surf too
Yeah.
than you would
Totally.
otherwise. Yeah, yeah,
You would
but
have used muscle that you didn't use
yeah,
before. Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. Um, anyway, that's kind of a tip for people if you want to like improve directly your surfing technique and give you an insight into how maybe training might help further, right?
Yes.
Is like try that, ride a longboard, try to cross step it. Like make sure it's an old flat rocketed longboard, like not a modern one with a lot of curve, which is
Yeah.
trying to make you turn like a shortboard, right?
Yes.
Like something that just makes you trim that you then need to walk up and down, right?
Yes.
And if you conquer the crosswalking, try a switch foot. That will really change your proprioception around a bit, and you'll just go, "Whoa, what am I doing?" It'll
Yeah.
really challenge you, and then you go back to normal. And you go, "This is really easy."
Yeah, totally. Yeah, 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 yeah. How crazy is that? Yeah, it's
Crazy.
true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometime I do this, well, sometime I do this warm up at the beach and one of the part of the warm up that I do this push up to standing up and
Hmm.
by dragging my foot into place as if I would have put it in on the pad on the on my on on the board where I would put it and then
Yeah.
come up to my feet standing up and then I switch to the other side and then
There
I
you
do
go.
backside kind of like and in regular footer and it's just it does your head in but then you go back to your standing up you just I'm a goofy footer and standing up with my left foot back is like oh no drama you don't you don't think about
Easy.
it yeah
Easy.
it's so true and yeah like I guess that's you would agree as well that surfing is a skill and as a skill you got to practice the skill to become better
Hmm.
um and realistically there is not a amount of squat and push up or pull up that is going to make you a better surfer
Not
like
really. No.
for the technique of surfing the skill of surfing
Hmm.
sure like we said and like you said and obviously paddling have a better, more efficient paddle. It will transfer into becoming a better surfer
Yep.
because you early on the wave, because you got more breath in your lungs and so forth. And
Yeah.
consequently, when you get to your feet, you are aware of what's going on. Um,
Hell yeah.
yeah, but surfing is a skill, and there is not a amount of training that is going to make you a better surfer. In terms of that progression into the wave.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I feel like that's really important. One example that I bring up, and obviously those are people that are they have a talent that is undisputable, like if you
Hmm.
look at Rob Machado, I don't think I ever seen Rob Machado lifting a dumbbell, in any way, shape or form, but is how amazing of a surfer he is, right?
Yeah.
Um, is not doing the tour anymore, but probably if he would be on the tour, he probably could still kick some people out.
Every now and then, maybe. Um,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I don't know. Some people are gifted with the style aspect that, they're technically so proficient. They get proficient quite young
Yeah.
and they just don't put the same kind of pressure on their body as other surfers, right? There's, like bad style will wear your body down pretty quick.
Yeah.
Um, and that kind of, I feel like that brings us to something else that um, we discussed
Yeah.
offline,
Yeah.
which was longevity and the importance of training for people around that, right?
Yeah.
Um, I feel like longevity is where the training kind of, whatever kind of training that you pick will pay off down the line, right?
Yeah.
Like, I remember being really, really struck by reading in a magazine. This was years and years ago when I was just a little grommet, and I was reading about Jerry Lopez, who I've kind of think of as a kind of paragon of longevity in a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, and the the story went into some detail about pipeline and at the time, like it's the early mid 70s, when I'm just like 10 years old or whatever, reading my first surf mags and getting really like influenced by them, right? And uh, Lopez was the star at Pipe at that time. And the story talked about how Jerry was like doing all these abdominal exercises that no one else was doing. Surfing. He had like one of those gut wheels that like you roll out
Oh,
into a
wow.
plank and then pull it back and
Yeah.
roll out. And it talked about him being up to like 200 reps and about how what Jerry was looking for was longevity in his surfing, right?
Yeah.
Like because he wanted to surf forever, right? And uh, he's like done all sorts of things to make sure that's going to happen, right? Like, like he's done a long, long, long study of yoga. Um, he still does the gut wheel thing. Um, and when he surfs a lot, and he surfs
Yeah.
a long time, and he catches a lot of waves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and um, I think he's a really good example, probably the best example in surfing of someone who's um, like dedicated themselves to a long surfing life, and it's making that happen. Like he's 75 years old now, and he's
Yeah.
surfing. He surfs really good, and um, so like he's a really good example to all of us,
Mm,
but he's also an example of what works if you want longevity in your surfing,
mm, mm,
and that is like choosing training methods that work for you,
mm.
right? Like yoga really works for Jerry.
Yeah.
Abdominal exercises really work for Jerry. Um, Surfing a lot really works for him
Yeah.
when he surfs, that is. So that recipe is going to be a little bit different for every single person, right? And you will kind of pare away at it over time and work out what training methods work for you,
Yeah.
right? Uh, but training, that's where its real payoff
Mm,
is like, you're 30 years old right now,
mm.
okay? Whatever training patterns you establish now in your surfing life, right? This is why you'll be able to surf good when you're 60, right?
Absolutely.
And,
Yeah.
and you don't do it now, well, that's your choice. You don't have to. No
Yeah.
one's saying it's not essential for your surfing, right? You can paddle out and catch waves and surf and be fine. But when you're 60, you might not be surfing anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what value do you place on that
Mm, mm, mm.
is really the value that you place on your training.
Yeah. And I mean, Jerry Lopez is obviously another big icon, but also, yourself. You definitely not more in your 20s and you still surfing. I actually saw you during the comp up there on a Saturday morning. We were next to each other behind the
Yeah,
rocks at Snapper. And
yeah.
And you out there, they were like full of professional surfers, and then you
Yeah.
still, out there surfing. And
Sure.
I remember you surfing at the peak in Newport when I lived there, and
Hmm.
your surfing is really good, and obviously you're not 20, and that's um what's the word? A statement of as well of the choices that you made, and
Yeah.
how you're looking after yourself and things that are working for you, right? And
Yeah.
how far they 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 have been serving you, and that they will serve you. Why, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't see you like physically as you seems like a pretty emanating a good bright energy in terms of I I I I would expect you to to surf well for many 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 more years,
Yeah.
decades, and I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised.
That's my plan.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a good plan to have, yeah.
Well,
Uh
it works for me. Like I know there's a lot of surfers my age, like I'm in my mid 60s now,
yeah,
and I know there's a lot of surfers my age who've given up surfing,
yeah,
and friends of mine, and I know there's a lot of surfers who are struggling with surfing now. Things are getting harder for them. They're finding it harder to stand up. They find and I think that's probably because they're finding it harder to actually catch the wave in the first place.
yeah,
So their acceleration of the wave isn't really there.
yeah.
Um, and uh, I think also that's because, and this is something that surfers just don't even think about, right?
Mm.
Is that like over time, as the years go by, you naturally begin to lose muscle mass. And while that can be kind of cool for a surfer to lose a bit of muscle mass, like
Mm.
maybe they've got too much muscle to begin with, right?
Mm.
It also means that if you want to keep surfing beyond the age of like 50 plus,
Mm. Mm.
you're going to have to do some kind of work with weights. You're going to have to do some kind of gym stuff
Yeah,
because you will otherwise lose the capacity to catch a wave.
yeah.
And you don't want to lose that, right? So
Mm.
that's really something I've noticed. Just like really only in the last 2 or 3 years that I have to like keep tabs on muscle mass a little bit, and do a little bit more in the gym and maybe a little bit less in the pool because I'm pretty avid swimmer, right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so rather than doing like a, you know, hard aerobic threshold 5K set in the pool, I'll do 3Ks instead. And like next day I'll go to the gym and I'll do a bunch of leg work, all quite light, but with some weights.
Yeah, yeah,
And just make sure all those connective muscles through the pelvis and the calves and the quads and the hammies are all like, strong and stable
yeah,
and not kind of like vanishing.
yeah, totally. Because at the end of the day, yes, we need that aerobic capacity, but the aerobic work is more prone to break down muscle,
Yeah.
and break down mass, and consequently doing that strength hypertrophy zone is really
Hmm.
important. We all going in the same direction, and the earlier we start packing having a bit of extra muscle on,
Yeah.
it will definitely benefit us. So yes, absolutely. Again, that paddling power, is important to catch those waves and be able to enjoy your surf, right?
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, yeah,
Totally.
yeah,
But it is horses for courses, and depending on what age you are, you want to like be really aware of what the training is going to be doing to you,
yeah.
you know. Mhm.
Good.
Um, I, I, I know I raised this briefly before with you, Giovanni, but like I think there's a strong psychological element to all of this as well.
Yeah,
Uh, the way in which the body and brain grow together
Yeah.
and the way in which they also slightly deteriorate over time as you get
Mm.
older, um, really means that you want to be across whatever phase you are of your surfing. Really be super aware of it, like really be present to it, you know?
Mm.
Like, um, I've trained a heap of kids through surfing and also through the Iron Person stuff, right? And you notice parts of their lives in at times in their lives they are extraordinarily suited to developing skills really fast, right? But then other times in their lives, it's not a good time for them to be like trying to develop a whole lot of skills.
Mm.
And people make choices all the time too, right? Like
Yeah.
kids typically in a sport will make a choice somewhere around 13 or 14 to commit to one sport, right?
Yeah.
Like they might have been doing all sorts of stuff before that, but then at some point they go, oh, I'm getting results here. I like this. I won a medal. I did this. I did that. I like that feeling. I'm going to pursue this. And so they'll get stuck into it for like 4 or 5 years. And they'll get to around 18 or 19 and they'll make another choice there, right? Which might be, okay, I've done enough of that. That's something I did as a kid. Now I want to go to university or,
Yeah.
have a good time or whatever. Or they might at that point go, I want to be the best in the world at this. And like that's what they spend their 20s doing, right?
Yeah.
And then for most of us, though, we'll go through these phases of skill development and strength and changes in those things.
Mm.
You really want to be aware of where you're at with it,
Yeah.
because most of the injuries I've seen amongst older surfers as they've grown older, and I include myself in this, most of the injuries have come through an overestimation of their strength
Yeah.
and skill at that time, right?
Yeah.
Like they've actually grown out of something and they don't realize it and they try it again and like they try it one too many times and boom, they've broken a leg or boom, they've torn a hamstring off the bone or
Yeah.
boom, their shoulder's bucked and they've got to have year-long surgery recoveries, things like that.
Yeah.
Um, so try to be really present with where you're at, and you can
Yeah.
use the training to keep you present too, right? Like
Yeah.
every time you go to a gym, like go, okay, I'm at the gym,
Yes. Not on your
here I am.
phone or
I'm not on my phone. I'm at the
yeah.
gym. I'm doing this Bulgarian split squat, right? I'm here. And that can really pay off because like, you don't want to be wasting years of your life
Mm.
having orthopedic surgery when you
No.
really didn't need to in the first place.
Yeah. Uh, it was a bit of a self-talk as well for yourself.
Oh, I've had that talk a number of times. I've had
Yeah.
I've had some awesome injuries and
Yeah.
I've learned from the recovery process in each of those.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing I've learned from all of them was that they weren't necessary. I didn't
Yeah.
have to get hurt, right?
Yeah.
It didn't have to happen that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was just
You
me pushing it too far.
pushing it too far. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Being aware of yourself, where you are and your ability, capability, and yeah, yeah, important. That's a great message, Nick. I feel like it is important. Yeah, I guess to know your limit and yeah,
yeah, and
be
know
a
and know and know when those limits are changing because they will change over your
yeah,
life.
yeah, yeah, throughout your life and yeah, and if you want to keep enjoying what you do, is good to keep it in mind. Yeah,
Totally.
uh, good, good conversation, great conversation. My last question for you is obviously, your brother is Tom Carroll, two times world champion, right?
Yeah.
Um, so how was growing up together? Do you guys had a rivalry? Were you guys pushing each other? Did you push your brother to become a world champion, or he pushed himself, or?
It's hard to know. I mean, I think world titles come from a lot of places, right? There's never a simple kind of this happened and then I was world champ, right?
Yeah,
But Tom and I were definitely super competitive as kids,
Yeah.
as you would imagine. Like we're not that far apart in age. I'm older than Tom, uh, but like I used to get the better of him in most things, naturally because I would just be like a year older, year and a half older, and so I'd be able to kind of like outdo him, right?
Mm.
And surfing was the first thing that Tom was able to kind of own as his own thing. Like when we were just starting out, there was a winter where he surfed all the way through winter, and I couldn't be bothered. I was playing tennis at the time, and so I just kept playing tennis through that winter. And Tom surfed all the way through the winter, and he didn't even have a wetsuit. He wore his board shorts. He borrowed the board that I owned, and he just went surfing all winter. And he just kept saying to me, "You're going to hate it when you come back this summer because I'm so much better than you now." And and I thought, oh fuck, no, maybe I'm gonna have to eat some curry here, you know. But
Yeah.
I don't know. We've changed many times over the years, like where we're at with each other on that stuff.
Mm.
Um, I definitely didn't feel like it was my place to compete with him once he was on a roll.
Mm.
It would have felt really wrong, you know. Like one of us would have ended up being a real sore loser, and
Mm.
you would never know which one because I'm like kind of I'm more present to competition than Tom is, right?
Mm.
Like um, I've won a lot of other in a lot of other sports, you know, that I know Tom would have really struggled to win in because his mind would have drifted, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, uh, what Tom has is extraordinary close or narrow focus abilities, right? And and so he was able to turn them to his best effect. You could see it at Pipeline, right? Which is very much like a really fast judgment wave. The
Yeah.
ride's usually over in 6 or 7 seconds. Everything happens really, really fast. And so that takes a very narrow focus where you just pinned in on what you're doing. Nothing else matters, right? Where Tom used to get in trouble as a competitor is when a broad focus was needed, when you needed to make a judgment about everything that was happening, the amount of time left, whether you had priority, whether you didn't have priority, how to work off your opponent. He got better at it with practice, but it's not his natural forte,
Yeah.
right? Whether it's definitely that's definitely my forte, right?
Mm.
So we would have probably had a really bad battle, and we would have just like one of us would have done hating the other one. And I'm really glad we never got into that because
Mm.
it might not have been that much fun.
Mm.
But we're still pretty competitive with each other now. Like like the other day, I was surfing at the peak at and a local spot, you know, and I felt like I was surfing pretty good, you know, doing some turns and shit. And then Tom paddled out, you know, and he was the only other guy out. We surfed, caught a few waves together, and I came in. And later on, he said, "How do you think your surfing's going?" It's like, what? You want me to bite on that? Like, surely we've thrown each other too much bait over time for me to bite on that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think me and Tom are an example of family members who've been able to maintain a good relationship over many years, and surfing's
Yeah.
been a part of that. Not it hasn't been an erosive thing for us. It's been a togetherness
A
thing, which is really yeah,
bounding thing. Yeah.
it's really nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And your brother trains or used to train quite a bit and he looks after himself. I see him meditating. He actually works from time to time with Rodrigo up in Coolangatta and
Mhm.
they do meditation, which is super important. Talking about presence, right? Be
Yeah,
present and
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, very much. And yeah, Tom was part of that generation of pros who pioneered training in professional surfing, right?
Mm,
Like before that, like you talk to any of them, Sean Thompson, MR, Rabbit, all of them, they all just admit it. They didn't do any training ever, right?
yeah.
Uh, and so Tom's generation, Tom Potts, Tom Curran,
Yeah.
Occy to some extent,
Yeah.
uh, Gary Elkinen for sure a lot,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
BL, Damien Hardman, all that crew. And off the back of them, Lane Beachley especially.
Yeah.
they all kind of pioneered like training for surfing, and the methods were a bit crude at that time. They did a lot of heavy weights,
Yeah.
but they did a lot of surfing in bad waves,
Yeah.
which really works.
Oh
And
yeah, it does.
yeah, you just catch a million shitty waves. It's better than catching 10 really good ones if you want to
Yeah.
get better at surfing.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I always say to people. Actually, growing up in Italy and learning to surf in Italy is not a bad thing because you surf in such a shitty wave sometimes. And maintaining speed and reading the wave, the waves are disappearing from in front of you, and it's really it can be a gift as well.
Yeah,
Can be a really good gift.
totally.
Nick. Thank you so much. This is was an incredible conversation. Thank you for your time. I really hope that you enjoyed this conversation too. And yeah, thank you so much. It was really valuable to me and to my spectator, if you want to call it that way. And yeah, the people that are gonna listen to this podcast interview with you, very valuable. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries, Giovanni, and best of luck with all your clients. Like,
Thank, thank you.
I hope this is some like little value for them too.
Great. Thank you so much.
No worries, buddy.
Ciao.